How many people here have ever had a true enemy? Maybe back when you were in public school or in high school, somebody that was your nemesis. Some of you are going, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Maybe some of you have been fortunate you never really had that. But I had an enemy. His name was Kevin. And when I was in grade 3, 4, and 5, Kevin's agenda in life seemed to be to make my recess and lunch hours absolutely miserable every single day. I got to the point where I loved class just because it was safe. Kevin, he just could strike fear into me. I was a little guy. I was late to coming to my growth, believe it or not. And the simple reality was I had a hard time with dealing with this guy. As soon as I walked out the doors of school, at recess, lunch hour, or after school, I felt like I had to run for safety every single day. And this went on for years. And you can imagine my relief when, thanks to going into grade 6 and into school, I found myself in a different class finally than Kevin. It's not like I could get away. He was in the classroom with me, so he could follow me out every day. I got into grade 6, and suddenly he's in a different place than I was, and I was like, finally, I'm free. I don't have to deal with him anymore. It was just a great time for me. And then I joined Air Cadets. And Air Cadets I really enjoyed. We went to Air Cadets in Georgetown, Ontario, and we had a great time there. And I got a chance to go to summer camp, and they were going to pay me $40 a week at the time to go to camp. Like, that's a great deal, right? Pay kids to go to camp. And I get to camp, and I'm the only person I know. There's no friends, there's nobody else from my town that had gone to this particular camp. And imagine my surprise when who should get off another bus but Kevin. And I'm thinking, okay, it's all right, because they're going to divide us up into groups of about 30. They call them flights in Air Cadets. And it'll be fine, because it'll be another flight, right? God wouldn't do this to me again, right? Sure enough, Kevin's last name starts with an F, my last name starts with a D. Guess what? They call our names, and they put us in the same flight. I'm thinking, it's okay, there's still 28 other people, 28 other guys that I can connect with. I'll just stay away from Kevin, right? And it's Air Cadets. It should be safe. There's a lot of discipline. You march a lot. It should be okay, right? That night, they're assigning us bunks in the barracks. So they put me on the top bunk, and they put Kevin on the bottom bunk. And I'm thinking, oh, Lord, all I wanted was a chance to make a friend. And he gave me Kevin. You should see him now. I looked up his picture on Facebook. It's frightening, okay? He's still scared of me. But something interesting happened. Kevin also was all alone at Air Cadet Camp. He didn't have his usual hangers-on, his usual buddies, nor did I. And all of a sudden, he started being nice to me. Well, you couldn't knock me over with a feather. Because I just couldn't comprehend at the time why this person that had made my life so miserable for so long would actually, for the first time, be willing to treat me as a human being, as almost an equal. He didn't kick the bottom of my bunk. He didn't torment me. He didn't do any of the things that I expected him to do. And I came to realize years later that what happened was we finally found something in common. We were both alone, and we were both at Air Cadet Camp. And once you took away the things that divided us, suddenly there was far more common than we ever could have imagined. And I actually had a pretty good 2 weeks. It's an amazing thing how that can happen. Funny part, of course, is as soon as we got home, he never spoke to me again. He really was a temporary friend. But when you have things in common, that's what can happen, right? So having something in common, a shared experience, can bind people together like nothing else. At least for a time. I don't know about you, but I've had friends in my life that knew the Lord, and I've had friends in my life that didn't know the Lord. And the friends that did, there was something we shared that was special. There was something more powerful about that friendship, and the ability to say to a friend, hey, guess what God did? And they would receive it instead of going, yeah, whatever. Or it's just a coincidence. Or there is no God. I've had that situation, and I'm sure you've had that situation as well, where you've had conversations with somebody that you know and care about, a friend or a family member. But there was this divide when Jesus Christ was missing. And I want to tell you that real friends, real friendship is actually God's design for humanity. That He actually created us for these relationships. That it was God's plan for us to be friends with Him. And then He had to do something about a problem after the fall. And so He sent Jesus Christ to make it possible once again for there to be real friendship. Real connection between people that may have had nothing in common, may have been as far apart as Kevin and I. And that real friendship is God's plan for the church. That His intention is that we would be real friends with one another because of Jesus Christ. You say, I'm not sure about this, Jeff. What are you talking about? Well, real friendship begins with creation. You see God, right in the book of Genesis, showing up in the garden on a regular basis to do something really strange. You know what that is? To walk with Adam and Eve. It tells us that He regularly met with them in the garden, and He regularly spent time with them. That's not something that God does in the sense of a distant, far away God. That's something that a friend does. Spend time with each other. The opportunity to do that was something that was part of God's plan in the beginning. And He said that, didn't He? He said it's not good for man to be alone. And we usually talk about that only in terms of the marriage relationship. But really, what God was talking about was exactly what He said. It's not good to be alone. We're created for a relationship, for friendship. We're created to be bound together. It's a built-in need. And unfortunately, we live in the kind of day and age, and because of the effects of sin, we desire still that friendship, but we will put up with abuse rather than be alone. We'll put up with people who treat us like garbage because we just can't stand being alone. It's a built-in need. And we need to understand that in its proper form, it's God's plan for humanity. You can see the example throughout the Old Testament. You get the example of Enoch, who walked with God. You hear about Noah, who also walked with God. We hear about Abraham, who believed God, and his faith was credited to him as righteousness, and he was called God's friend. And even David, he's the perfect example of failure to be a good friend. Like Debbie was alluding to, somebody who betrayed everything that God stood for. And yet he was called a man after God's own heart. That was his desire. But see, thanks to sin, thanks to the fall, friendship got broken. Real friends became hard to find. It became hard for us to even be really friends with God. But then Jesus came. And when we see the story of the Last Supper, it's so easy for us to focus on what Jesus was talking about what He was about to do, that we miss a simple reality. What we're seeing in the story is 12 friends gathered together with their best friend, Jesus Christ. That's what we see. 12 friends that had chosen to leave their different backgrounds. We have fishermen and tax collectors and religious zealots. Their backgrounds are completely different. Their educational backgrounds are completely different. Their financial status is completely different. And yet they've been together now for 3 years. Why? Because of one common thing, Jesus Christ. It binds them together in a powerful way, so much so that they're all upset at the idea that one of them might betray Jesus. They're horrified when they hear this word from Jesus. One of you, one of my closest friends, is going to let me down. You're going to turn your back on me. You're going to betray me. But see, Jesus knew that real friendship required a sacrifice. That's an Old Testament principle. It's always required sacrifice to be a good, real friend. It's like the old story that a friend will help you move. A real friend will help you move a body. Friends, the Last Supper is a story of friendship. It's a story of the restoration of friendship to its proper place. It's a story with Jesus as friend at the center of it. And we see it happening as we go through the story. What do friends do? They do things for each other. Jesus doesn't have to say, hey guys, would you go get set up for the Passover? It's His friends that say, hey, I know this is important to you. What can we do to help get ready for it? And so He says to two of them, okay, well, you go ahead and get things ready. And they get things ready, and then they show up together to celebrate this meal. And don't forget, these disciples, they really didn't comprehend yet that this was going to be what we call the Last Supper. They just saw it as an important time to gather together to celebrate, like we have Thanksgiving and Christmas and those kind of meals together. The Passover was critical to these Jewish friends. They sit down around the table together. And when we see what the Scripture actually describes and the way that the culture of the day came together, they actually would recline beside each other. And when he wanted to talk to somebody, he'd actually lean back against the person behind you to say something to them. That's not something you do when you're enemies, is it? somebody you don't like, you usually keep your physical distance, we keep personal space, back off, right? We have a story of friendship, a group of friends gathered around a circle. And the best friend, Jesus Christ, transforming the moment and telling them that real friendship is about to be possible.